Hi everybody, I hope everybody's really well and keeping safe. I'm out in the New Forest where I brought Rocky for a walk today, and I thought I'd stop and read you one of our favourite stories that we really like. This one is called Albert LeBlanc, and I know you've read this before with me. This is Albert LeBlanc. Even from the back, he looks sad. His head hangs low, his shoulders are hunched, and his arms flop loosely by his side. From the front, Albert LeBlanc looks very sad indeed. He has the saddest eyes you've ever saw, which is strange because Albert LeBlanc... But wait, let me tell you this story from the very beginning. Albert LeBlanc by Nick Butterworth. When Albert LeBlanc first appeared sitting all by himself in Mr. Jolly's toy shop, the other toys could only stare. He did look so sad. "Poor love," said Sally the hippo. "We must try to cheer him up." Can you see him there, sitting back by himself and all the other toys? "You could do your funny dancing," said Toby the cat. "That would make him laugh." "My dancing's not funny," said Sally. "It's beautiful and artistic." The other toys looked at each other and tried not to smile. "I know a joke," said a little mouse called Pickle, "but I can't remember the funny bit at the end." Everyone agreed that this could maybe make the joke not quite so funny. In fact, it might make it not funny at all. Pickle flopped down and stared at the floor. It was then that Jack-in-a-Box, who at that moment was not in his box, had an idea. "Why don't we all try very hard to think of something happy and funny, something to cheer up a very sad bear, and then we could all put our things together and make a show?" It was a very good idea. Everybody thought so. At first, the toys sat quietly thinking, what could they say? What could they do? Something funny. Something happy. Morris, the steam engine, let off a little steam as he tried to think. Lizzie, the humming top, hummed to herself as she thought, hum. "I've remembered my joke," squeaked Pickle suddenly. "Shh, dear," said Sally. "I'm getting an idea." All at once it seemed that the toys were getting other ideas too. Toby began to snigger and Jack-in-a-Box began to laugh. Sally began to titter and went off to borrow a hat and find some face paints. Albert LeBlanc watched from where he was sitting. The other toys were very busy. What was going on? What were they up to? Albert LeBlanc did not have very long to find out. Sally was the first to introduce herself. "Good evening," she said with a very big bow. "I am Sally, hippopotamus and ballerina. This evening we, the toys of Mr. Jolly's toy shop, will present a happy and entertaining treat, especially to amuse, cheer and tickle the verny bone of a very sad bear." Albert LeBlanc looked puzzled. "I am very pleased to meet you," he said. "My name is Albert LeBlanc. I am from France. Please, let me say, do not think that I am..." But Albert LeBlanc was not allowed to say. "Silence, please, for Miss Pickle," the hippopotamus boomed loudly. Pickle came and stood nervously at the front of the sad-looking bear. She shuffled her feet and cleared her throat, but no words came. But whatever Pickle had remembered earlier, she'd suddenly forgotten again. "I can't remember my joke," she said, and she flopped down and stared at the floor. "Never mind," said Albert LeBlanc clearly. "I'm sure it was very funny, and you really must not think that I am..." But at that moment, with a twang and a zing, the Jack-in-a-Box sprang out of his box. He bounced up and down in front of Albert LeBlanc, and as he did, he began to sing. "I bounce with a boing, I bounce with a poing, and while I am bouncing, I'm singing this song." "Be careful, dear," but Jack was enjoying himself. He bounced higher. "I like to bounce high, as high as the sky, and when I am bouncing, I'm sure I could fly." Thump. Uh-oh. Poor Jack. He bounced so high that he bumped his head on the shelf and fell in a tangled heap in front of Albert. "Slight technical problem," he said, and he tried to untie the knot which he suddenly tied in his long body. Albert hid his face in his paws. "Please, do not worry," he said. You really must not think that I am..." Once again, Sally did not let him finish. To Albert's amazement, she leapt out in front of him wearing a yellow pointed hat and a big red face-painted smile. Of course, Sally didn't mean to be funny, but then she didn't mean to slip or slide, and she certainly did not mean to crash straight in front of Albert LeBlanc, but that is exactly what she did. Together, the bear and the hippopotamus landed in a confused heap. From underneath, Sally Albert LeBlanc let out a great roar. "Please," he said, "as you keep trying to tell you, I am not unhappy." There was silence. Sally and Albert tried to get up, Albert went on. I am not sad at all. It's just the way I was made. I happen to have a sad look on my face. Oh no we don't, said Toby the cat. Not anymore. Suddenly everyone saw that Albert LeBlanc was wearing a great, big, red smile. It was Sally's smile. The toys began to giggle. Oh, silly me, said Sally. I'm sorry, I must have kissed you by mistake. The toys began to giggle even more, and some of them began to laugh out loud. But now, what was happening to Albert LeBlanc? He began to shake, and he grabbed hold of his tummy, and his shoulders started to heave up and down, and his nose wrinkled up and down, and his sad eyes almost disappeared. Do you know what's happening? Then, to everyone's great surprise, Albert LeBlanc roared out the funniest and the loudest laugh the toys had ever seen. Oh, Albert's enormous laugh made everyone laugh even more. At last, Jack in a Box managed to speak. Well, he giggled, who would have thought that Little Kiss could put such a big smile on everyone's face? Everybody laughed again, but the biggest, the deepest, the loudest and the funniest laugh of all came from a sad-looking bear called Albert LeBlanc. The end. And if you really like this book, and if you really like lots of these stories, maybe you can find some of these characters back in the pages, like Percy the Park Keeper, the Snowman, Paddington Bear, Elmer, Big Ted and Little Ted, Noddy, Where's Wally, Q Poodle, or even Kipper. They're all hidden in these pages somewhere. The end. Have a lovely weekend, everybody, and enjoy the sunshine. See you soon.